welcome to Black Economics TV. Today we have with us Don Taylor, who's the winner of 5-Star Chef, an amazing program on Channel 4. There were many chefs that started that program and he ended up the top. And he won a 6-month stay in the Langham's Hotel. And in fact, it was supposed to be 6 months, but they extended it for 10 months. It was so popular.
10 months in total.
So, welcome, Don. Thank you for joining us.
No, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
So, tell us about that show that catapulted you to fame. What made you decide to enter that show?
Do you know what? The production company reached out to me off the back of my Instagram and my website, and they were like, they really liked my vibe and they thought that I'd be really cool for the show and that I should apply. I'm not really the competition kind. I didn't really think of myself. I don't really think about my food in that way in comparison to other people's. So a competition isn't really kind of the route that I would have gone. But I also believe that God drops blessings on you in all sorts of ways. So I didn't want to stare my blessing in the face, So I applied and I then went on and won.
Okay. Did you have a feeling that you were going to win as you were doing this?
Do you know, that's a great question, because on arrival, the imposter syndrome was insane. Like I was asking myself, what am I doing here? I'm going to show myself up. And it was only about halfway through the competition that I started to kind of recognize the skill and the quality of what I was producing in comparison to other people. And I was also seeing how the judges were responding to both my food and me as a person. And I kind of saw this gap and suddenly I wanted it. I fought for it and then I won.
Okay. Tell me about the worst time on the show, the time when you felt, oh no.
I mean, there was a lot of challenging times, but the afternoon tea challenge, I went for a whole journey. I had to produce this, what they call an entremet cake. And the entremet is a multi-layered, multi-textured cake. It's a French afternoon tea patisserie item. And, but desserts and pastry is not really my speciality, which if you watch the show you'll know that for yourself, but I'm also one of those people that I know a little bit about a lot of things. So I had to do these mirror glaze, and I'd only done it once or twice in real life, but I'd done a lot of research on it, and I started with my sweets. And as I was allowing the glaze to cool down, in my mind I said, even though I knew that I had to bring it down to a certain temperature, it just kept getting thicker and thicker. And I was like, no, this is getting too cold. This is getting too cold. It's never going to cover the cake. So I got my cakes out the freezer, tried to cover 2 of them. They just melted away. And I was like, oh. So, but I had a few backup and I thought, okay, cool. So I put them back in the freezer. But I'm starting to stress a little bit. I'm cooling down the mixture a bit more. But I went down a few more degrees and I thought, no, this can't be right. I must have written it down wrong. Like, this can't be right. So I tried to cover another few more cakes. 3 of them, lost another 3. And I'm panicking now. And because the kitchen's so warm, we're working with a little tiny freezer that's not freezing things properly. So my cakes are already a bit soft and I'm in panic now. I've got 6 left and I need 6 for filming. And I thought, let me put them back in the freezer. I then move on to my savoury. I thought, I know these. Calm myself down, get on with the things that I know well and come back to your cakes. And I get on with my savoury. I come back to my cakes and I don't know, by the mercy of God, I then glaze all 6 cakes perfectly.
Wow.
And I don't know, I was really proud in that moment of being able to kind of take a breath, take a step back, kind of regroup and kind of come back to the cakes and the challenge. And it's so strange that, you'll hear me talk a bit later on, is that there's so many different aspects of my life that kind of intertwine. So, that ability to kind of pause, take a breath, that's my yoga practice, which I've been doing for the last 15 years, you know. Yeah.
Okay. And would you say that at the point where you heard that you were the winner was your best moment on the show, or were there other really fantastic moments that you'd love to even relive again?
I mean, do you know what? There was many best bits.
Oh, that's lovely.
There were so many best bits because, like, you know, in episode 1, when you hear Michelle Roux say that he would travel across the England to try have that chicken because of how good it tastes.
Yeah.
Those words will live in my mind for the rest of my life, you know. But seeing the expression on my mum and my siblings' face when he reads out and say, Dom has won, you know, that burst of pride, that feeling, that joy in my mum's eyes, I will never forget that. That will live off in my mind, rent-free for the rest of my life. You know, when in the final and Chef Mike and Chef Rav try my ackee and saltfish cakes, you know, Jamaica's national dish that I've reimagined, and you know they're tasting it and they think it's delightful. That's an original dish. I've created that, and to have somebody who understands the cuisine, the culture, the background, to then see that being reimagined and appreciate the story I'm trying to tell, that's a true compliment.
Okay, well, for those of us, millions, you didn't get to taste it.
Yes.
Because we tried to book again and again. It was always fully booked in the Langham Hotel. And then dates that they could make, we couldn't make. So we've missed out on some of those amazing dishes. So do you plan to actually release some of them as ready meals? Can I make a special request that you do this?
Yes, I mean, you know, ready meals, I'm not so sure that is my bag. You know, I don't know how I feel about ready meals. I don't know if that is a space in the market that I want to step into. You know, how do you manage the quality around that? There's some chefs out there doing some really wonderful things. But, you know, it's always been a dream of mine since a child to kind of revolutionize Caribbean food, you know, breathe a new lease of life into it. One of the things that I noticed when I went back to the Caribbean of recent is that I feel the young people aren't excited about their homegrown products anymore. They're not interested in agriculture. They're not growing anything. They're importing so much kind of, you know, westernized food. That makes me really sad. I remember when I went to Jamaica as a child and kind of, you know, the young people were kind of, you know, picking mangoes and they were excited about their produce. Now they're all on pizza and chicken and chips. And, do you know what I mean? That makes me a little bit sad. So I do hope to do some work in the Caribbean, speak to some of the young people at colleges, etc., and really get them excited about agriculture again. Their land is fertile, man.
Yes.
Like, they're supposed to be growing things.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, they're supposed to be growing things. So
you might have to show them the money, show them it makes a lot of money.
I think you know, sometimes it's about kind of making it sexy. They need to remember, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They need to kind of remember that health is wealth. Do you know what I mean? So when you're like, here we are, you know, can't grow nothing in our land, that the kind of things that we want. We're paying all kind of £12 for a breadfruit, and they've got breadfruit dashing away.
Yes, yeah.
It doesn't make sense. So they need to be reminded of the wealth that they have on their land and get excited about it. And, you know, I had so many young chefs reach out to me in the Caribbean when I won the show. And they couldn't believe how I was celebrating and championing the ingredients that, you know, I think there's some shame around using, you know. And for me, I'm kind of like, nah, man, give me the dasheen, give me the cho-cho, give me the cocoa. I want it all. I want it all. Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. What was it like working at the Langham Hotel?
Do you know what? It was a great experience. You know, it wasn't my first time in a five-star hotel, so I already kind of understood the landscape. But it was a very proud moment to bring Caribbean food to that backdrop. You know, it worked really well, and the community really appreciated it and supported it, which was a really beautiful thing to see.
Okay. Did you feel that at times it was quite stressful?
Absolutely, but I mean, you know, you find me a chef that will tell you chefing isn't stressful, and I want to work with them for a little while so they can rub off on me. No, chefing's a challenging environment to work in. Food hospitality is challenging because you're customer facing. You know, you've got to meet customer expectation. But as a chef, I feel like an artist, so I'm constantly wanting to produce my best work. So you've kind of got all of these kind of pressure points for this kind of 1-star moment. I must perform now. It must be my best work now, and I must repeat that all day, every day for service. Does that make sense? So it's kind of like you rehearse in your mind, you rehearse in terms of preparation throughout the day, all for that star moment. Those 100 guests who are coming tonight, you want each one of them to feel like the most special person in the world for that moment, for those 100 times.
Okay, so the restaurant you were serving in, was it a Palm Court restaurant?
Court.
It's seated 100?
Yeah, so we did about 100 covers per night.
Okay. And did they give you a team?
Yes, so we had a team to work with, yes.
Yeah? Okay, great. Were you able to have a night off or 2 nights off?
Yes, I mean, it was, you know, chefing is never ideal, and I can't really talk too much about the inner workings of the Langham for various reasons. But, you know, I feel kind of like in terms of the show and the prize that I won, I had an assignment. And the assignment was bigger than me. I was doing this for the community. I was doing this for my culture. I was doing this for my family, for my ancestors. There was so much in this for me. Do you know what I mean? So I knew that
that's a tall order to be able to satisfy all of those people.
But I understood the assignment, and so I went in kind of broad-backed and ready for whatever I had to face. And it was tough. But I'm here to tell the tale.
Okay. Did you find that the audience who came to eat, the diners, were they mainly British or was it more of a mixed audience?
So actually, I mean, so it was, you know, 80% Black, African and Caribbean.
Really?
Oh, absolutely.
Wow.
Yes. The community turned out.
Oh my goodness.
But as I knew they would,
Fantastic.
I said to myself, as soon as I'd won the show, like I said to you, I understood the assignment. I knew that, you know, there was going to be so much pride. And you know, I got messages from people that were so touching. Like, you know, people were speaking to me like I was their son, their nephew, their grandson. And then people were coming to try the food, I think, in support that this person putting Caribbean food on such a stage. But it's double authentic. They just couldn't believe it. They were like, who is he? What is going on? They couldn't believe it. And I felt there was an immense pride, but I don't do things by halves.
Okay, so tell us about your childhood and your education, and did you have other types of dreams outside of the kitchen as you were growing up?
Yeah, so I had a lovely upbringing. I'm one of 5 siblings, one of 5 children. I've got 3 brothers and a sister. But I come from a family of good cooks. You know, my mum's a great cook. My nan was a great cook. My my aunts were good cooks. So, and I come from one of those families that were always cooking for weddings and christenings and events and birthdays. You know, trays of fried chicken and trays of fried fish and those kind of things. So, and as an observant child, I also kind of saw that the kitchen was a space where love was really expressed. It was like this, love was expressed through food. And I'm an emotions person, so I think I observed that as a very young child and got drawn to the affection that was shown through food.
Okay. Tell us about your education.
Yes, so I'm a big creative, so academia was challenging for me. I focus, I think, was challenging for me. So, I did a lot of kind of being the funny one, a lot of the, messing about, bunking school and all those kinds of things. But food and food technology was where I really came alive, and that became very clear from a very young age. And then when I left school, I went straight to chef school, and I had the best learning experience.
Was that here in this country?
Yeah, so I went to Langham College.
Oh, right.
Which coincidentally, well, they've asked me to be on the advisory board, so I now advise the curriculum for Langham College.
Nice,
and
nice.
if you would try to tell 16-year-old Dom that would happen,
That's amazing. That's
you'd
brilliant.
never believe it. I'd never believe it.
Okay.
So, really beautiful. And then I studied hospitality management at Thames Valley University.
So when you were living at home with your siblings and your mum, tell me, did you do a lot of the cooking at home?
Yeah, so I'm one of five, and my mum used to work a lot. Mum was a very ambitious woman, so there was a space in the family to kind of be the nurturer and be kind of the person who cooked. And because I had this love for cooking and love for food, I was a fat kid, so food was kind of like my thing. So I was just always in the kitchen experimenting. It started off with kind of cakes and biscuits, but by 10 I was trying to cook Sunday dinner and that.
Oh, by 10?
Oh yeah. I was in the kitchen. That was my space.
That's nice. That's nice.
And when I think back to kind of like some of my early dishes, not really kind of understanding how to build flavour. Yeah.
That's great. Wonderful. Okay. So tell me about your first chefing jobs after you finished college.
Yeah, so while I was at college, I actually got a job in a pub in Catford called the George, and it was a whitbread pub. And that was actually a really great experience. And I ended up running the kitchen. I mean, I was head chef, but head chef.
So young?
Yeah, but it was, at the same time, whilst it was a proud moment, at the same time, it's quite basic, it was steaks and frozen lasagnas but what was really cool is that I made a Sunday roast from scratch every Sunday, and that was great experience. Really, really, really great experience.
You were a teenager then?
Yes, yeah.
Wow. It's good training for later on.
Yes, and I've always kind of had leadership qualities, and being able to, because of the way my brain works, I'm quite organised. I'm quite good at putting things together.
Okay. Have you had your own restaurant before?
I haven't had my own restaurant, but I've done residencies in restaurants.
Okay, right, okay. And you said you worked in a 5-star restaurant before? You went to
5-star hotel. So I was head chef at the Belgrave's Hotel in Belgravia.
Okay.
That was actually one of my best experiences as a chef. I learned a lot there. Worked under a really great chef there. Built a lot of confidence there. But I was also head chef at the Courthouse Hotel, which was also a really great experience. That's where I really learned cooking for big numbers. They had great capacity for event space.
Okay.
So event catering.
Do you have any other hobbies apart from cooking?
Yes, I mean, I love yoga. So as I mentioned earlier, yoga, I do yoga as much as I can.
Yeah.
I've just started to learn to play the piano, which has been a great experience because it's shown me how my brain works in terms of learning new information.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
having that as a transferable skill is just kind of, it's been a real breakthrough for me.
Okay. Right. And I've noticed on your Instagram you started this 30-day reels, 30-day
Yes.
challenge of a different reel every day. And every day you're revealing a little bit of you, but you're also encouraging and motivating people.
Yes.
So some of the topics you've covered are, for instance, yes, yoga, reading, listening to audiobooks. You like to do that. You also like to listen to podcasts. And you also talked about things that sometimes people worry about. And you said no one cares. Tell me about that.
Yes, so the 30-day challenge. So the way that came about was since winning the show, I felt like I'd kind of been propelled into this kind of, I don't know, stardom that kind of took a while to adjust to. So I'd kind of gone from having 5,000 followers, who I think kind of knew me quite well, to then having 35,000 followers who had kind of seen me on this show. And because of kind of, whilst doing the residency, I worked really hard. I'd kind of burnt out a bit. I'd kind of lost my soul a little bit. All of the things that restore me. I'd stopped doing yoga and stopped going to the gym. I wasn't cycling to work anymore. So I was really run down. So I kind of lost my voice a bit on Instagram and didn't really kind of know who I was supposed to be. So then I kind of was doing all this kind of internal work over the last year. And I realized that I was avoiding Instagram, but I also knew that the things that you avoid is the work that you most need to do. So I said to myself, Dom, challenge yourself to do these 30 reels and then just tell them who you are. Do you know what I mean? Introduce yourself. Who is the real Chef Dom Taylor? And it's just sent me on this most amazing journey, because I think that if you look at me and thought that I was just a chef, then you've missed about 90% of me, because I'm so much more. I'm I'm a very complex person, as we all are, but I have many sides, many hats, many many facets of who I am. And it's been a real pleasure to really talk about those in the way that I have. So one of the reels that you talked about was the no one cares, was I was almost talking to myself. And sometimes when you kind of want to be the full expression of yourself, you're so worried about how people will perceive you and worried about all these details. And the truth is that everybody is the main character in their movie. And they've got a few moments to spare to look at you, and then they're back to their own movie.
Yeah.
No one really cares.
Yeah.
So all the things that you're worried about, that people are going to home in on and go, look at this and look at that for about 1 second, and then they're back to their movie.
Yeah.
And so just get on with your life and
Right.
live your life, because no one is really looking. Do you know what I mean? No one's looking. No one cares.
I understand.
Yeah. So please, the best thing you can do is just live your life.
Yeah. Another topic that you covered was being your biggest hater.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
talk about that.
So, I really like language, and I really like to kind of manipulate words and phrases. I think that can be really exciting about language. So, don't be a hater to yourself, I thought was a really catchy tagline. And what that means is we can sometimes stand in our own way. So, there's so many accomplishments that I have that I don't ever speak about. And by not speaking about them, it's almost like I'm playing them down to self. So within my mind, I haven't registered it as this really extraordinary, outstanding achievement that I did for myself. It's almost like you're playing it off as nothing. And therefore, you're not getting the credit for it to self. So don't be a hater to self is almost kind of stop pretending like you didn't do that really amazing thing. Stand up stand tall in those shoes. You know what I mean? Like, how often do you hear things like, you know, my brother's got a PhD, for example, and, you know, like, yeah, we're constantly telling him, like, you know, no, you're a doctor. Put that, you worked for that. You know how hard it is to get a PhD?
Yeah.
And you now want to now not tell people you've got a PhD. I'm walking into rooms and saying, by the way, I'm doctor. I'm telling you, if I was doctor, everybody would know. Everybody would know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that sometimes we kind of, it's like we've been kind of taught and indoctrinated into kind of acting small and shrinking ourselves in these spaces, and I think that it's damaging to self. It's a betrayal to self.
Okay.
I think that we're supposed to kind of walk into these rooms big and tall because we worked for these accomplishments. We worked for them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
How many mornings you woke up and didn't want to have to go, but you went and you worked for these things. Claim them. Stand tall in them.
Another thing that you said during one of these reels is that you weren't the perfect child, which of course we're all very surprised about. Surely you were the perfect child. You said you put your mum through some stuff.
Yes.
So tell us about your naughty days.
You know what? I'm not going to talk too much about it, but I guess one of the things that I think about when I look at my mentors or when I look at the people who walked the path before me and who you aspire to be like is sometimes you can get this sanitized narrative around that journey. You know, they never talk, you know, until much later down the road. They don't talk about those days when they wanted to give up. They don't talk about those days when kind of they felt like they were running out of road. They don't talk about those days when kind of, you know, their mother thought that they were never going to make anything of their life. You know, when you skip out on those bits, then the person who's following behind you doesn't recognize that they're on the same path that you was on. They think that they veered off left and they could never get back to a path that you're on. But by me telling you that story, now hopefully there's youngsters who's kind of going, you know what? I can still get to where he got, even though I've just done what I've just done. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I really wanted them to kind of see that it's messy. Don't think that there's a beautiful golden road that led me to where I am. Like I was the bad kid. I was the bad apple. I was I going home and my siblings are even rolling their eyes at what Dominic's just got up to now. Do you know what I mean? Like there was, I stretched my mother's patience.
Okay. Well, she must be so proud of you now.
Yes, you know what? She really is. I mean, my mum have got a really beautiful relationship now, you know. We've been really open with each other and really kind of discussed a lot of really intimate things that has just really brought us closer together. I feel like the floor is now open for us, and that's a really beautiful space to be in with my mum.
Oh, that's beautiful. Is she still living here?
Yeah, my mum's in Sydenham, down the road from me.
Okay. Do you have a family? Do you have children? Wife?
I'm a single man.
Oh, really? Yes, everybody. Woman elderly pew. Man who cooks amazingly. Very bright, very intelligent, going places, big future.
Don't oversell it, yeah?
Dom is available. Okay. Not for long, I'm sure. Not for long. Tell me about the menu that you did at the Langham. Did you choose all of that yourself, or did you choose it with the help of others? Tell me about the menu.
Absolutely. Yeah, so the menu was all me, absolutely. But, you know, I felt like, in terms of what I did at the Langham, it felt like my Miseducation album. Do you know what I mean? In terms of, I don't know if you remember when Lauryn Hill dropped that album.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was kind of, that was her album, and we didn't really see much from her since. That felt like my Miseducation. That had all my greatest hits on it, but it had these really strong items that I'd been working on and refining for some time. So there wasn't really a kind of like guinea pig kind of testing element going on. I knew that chicken dish well. I knew that plantain jam, I knew with the crisp, I knew it was a winner. The ackee and saltfish cakes with the Scotch bonnet mayonnaise and the roasted pineapple, I knew it was a winner. It was tried, it was tested. The dark rum and raisin pork belly, it was tried, it was tested. I knew these were winning dishes. So there wasn't that element of kind of like me putting out this menu and going, I don't know how this is going to be received. I knew I was onto a winner, so I could do it with my chest. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, that was a really beautiful moment.
Okay, well, I'm hoping that you're going to reproduce this same menu because,
Yeah.
as I said, myself and millions of others have not tasted it. So whether you do it in a banqueting suite or another hotel or restaurant or as a high-priced ready meal, you know, I'm hoping that we're going to see these things come to the fore again.
Absolutely.
And be available for the masses.
Absolutely. Some of these dishes, they won't leave me.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's good to know. Now, you're in food manufacturing now. What are the two things you're manufacturing at the moment? Probably more to come. Tell us about that.
So I've got my plantain jam, which is really a chutney. Goes really well with cheese, goes really well with smoked meats, spicy meats, fish. So that's going down a treat. And I've got my hot sauce. So my hot sauce was an absolute hit at the Langham during my residency. So I bottled that as well. So both of those are available via Deli Market. So there's a link in my bio, Chef Dom Taylor. You will see that on Instagram. And then I've got a few other sauces that I'm kind of playing around with and products that you'll probably see in the future. But yeah, just like a little side hustle.
Okay, well, good for you. Well done. Because what you want to do is have a legacy that's continuing to sell even while you're doing other things now.
Absolutely. And I think legacy is a great word. You know, I've been thinking about Caribbean food my whole life, you know, and so it feels like a dream come true to be involved in the Caribbean food space.
Is there a book coming?
Yes, I mean, you know, as I said to you earlier, I love language, I love words, I love writing, I love speaking. So yes, what that looks like, I don't know. I've got such a dynamic life, so I'm sure I'm going to want to talk about my life and some of the things that I've done and seen. But also, you know, there's some great ideas around food. So I also want to talk about food in a cooking recipe context, but I also want to do some more traveling, and I want to kind of talk about kind of some of the roots of these dishes and inspiration. So yes, I just don't know what that looks like yet.
Okay, it sounds to me like it might be a combination of a recipe book and an autobiography.
Exactly.
Yeah?
Exactly.
And it's fine
Exactly.
to mix it up.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
others have done the same. So yeah, we look forward to seeing that. Yeah?
Thank you.
All right. Well, I think we've covered everything that we want to talk about for now.
Thank you very much.
We want to watch the space to see what you're going to do next.
Yes, please do.
Okay.
Please
and
do.
we're looking for those invitations to come out saying Dom is appearing at such and such a venue. Get your tickets. Come and experience.
Yes. I'm coming. You're gonna be sick of me.
You think so?
Be sick of me. Yes, you're gonna see plenty of me this year.
Okay, soon come then.
Soon come.
All right. Thank you so much, Dom.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
And well done. Your career is going to continue to go upwards and upwards.
I appreciate that.
Okay, you've had a little bit of a chance to rest and recover from the Langhams. But this year, you'll be taking off again.
Yeah, I feel really well rested. I feel the clearest I've ever felt.
Yes.
I'm ready. I'm ready for them.
Okay. All right. Can people hire you for high-end like catering events?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
You know, my offering is quite bespoke and it's definitely quite high-end. But I do private cooking. And yes, so I'm available for everything and anything.
Okay.
Kind of.
Okay, good. All right, fantastic to know. We'll put your details in the description under the video.
Thank you.
And onwards and upwards to you. Thank you, Dom.
Thank you very much.
Take
Thank you.
care.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for watching this show. I hope that you will keep in touch with Dom Taylor at Chef Dom Taylor on Instagram.